Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're diving headfirst into the world of mobile esports,
Okay.
specifically MLBB,
Right.
the upcoming Esports World Cup 2025,
EWC.
clashing with the mobile legends. Bang Bang Midseason Cup 2025.
MSC.
Think of this as like your crash course
Yeah.
to understanding why this tournament is making waves,
Big waves.
huge
It's
waves.
going to be huge this year.
So we've got some really insightful information coming straight from One Sports PA,
Yeah, a really cool article, actually.
dated April 4th, 2025.
Very recent.
Which really lays the groundwork for this massive showdown.
For sure.
So whether you're like a hardcore MLBB fanatic or just trying to keep up with the pulse of competitive gaming, this event is looking like it's going to be a real game changer.
Absolutely.
So our mission today is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
We want to cut through all the noise and give you the need-to-know info
Straight to the point.
about this tournament.
Yep.
You know, we want you to walk away understanding what makes this moment so special in the ever-expanding universe of mobile esports.
Absolutely.
So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
One of the things that immediately grabs your attention
Yeah.
is the sheer scale
Right.
of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like the number of regions
X wild.
participating is massive.
So the EWCX MSC 2025 is going to have a record-breaking 16 different regions.
16?
16.
That's huge.
It's a huge leap in participation. And I think it really shows how the global competitive landscape for MLBB is really maturing, you know?
Right.
We're seeing it extend beyond
Yeah.
those traditional strongholds
Yeah.
and showing real investment in emerging scenes all over the world.
16 regions.
It's a big deal.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the numbers, right?
Yep.
It's about who's competing.
Right.
And the article points to some really interesting shifts.
Oh, for sure.
You know, we've got a significant return
Yes.
and an exciting debut.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So let's talk about those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Japan is making a comeback.
It's been a while.
Yeah, they're returning to the international MLBB stage.
Good time.
They haven't been seen since the M2 World Championship back in 2020,
Wow.
which, for those who don't know, is like the World Championship, the top global talent.
Yeah.
So their comeback is definitely a storyline to watch.
Huge storyline.
Yeah, and on top of that, we have Vietnam
Oh, yeah.
stepping onto the international stage
First time.
through the wildcard format.
That wildcard format sounds pretty crucial to this whole expansion.
Yeah.
For someone who maybe isn't as familiar with the scene,
Mm-hmm.
what exactly is the wildcard all about?
So basically, the wild card is like a preliminary qualifying series.
Okay.
So it gives newer or
Rest.
less established regions
Makes sense.
the chance to battle their way into the main event.
Okay.
Like, think of it as a proving ground.
Yeah.
And this year, it's even bigger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've expanded it
Oh, wow.
to include 8 additional teams,
Wow.
which I think is amazing because it creates more pathways for these diverse regions to reach the top tier of competition.
Yeah, so you're telling me that this wildcard is like a big deal?
It's a huge deal, and it's not just about the competition.
Uh-huh.
It's also drawing in a ton of viewers.
Okay.
Yeah, the article mentions some pretty impressive numbers from the last event.
Really?
Yeah, the EWCX MSC 2024 Wildcard peaked at, get this, 373,543 concurrent viewers.
What?
That's insane.
That's a lot of people.
It is, and according to esports charts,
Yeah.
that was the highest peak viewership ever for any international MLBB tournament.
Wow.
So even in these initial qualifying rounds,
wow.
people are tuning in.
That's wild.
Yeah, it really shows how much excitement and passion there is
Yeah.
for these up-and-coming teams.
So all these wildcard teams, they're fighting for that one spot
Mm-hmm.
in the main event, right?
Right.
What can we expect from the main stage?
Okay, so the EWCX MSC 2025 main stage is going to
Mhm.
feature 16 elite international teams.
Elite.
This includes the top contender from that wildcard state, of course.
Of course.
And with all these returning and debut regions,
Yeah.
the anticipation is that this year's main stage is going to be the most competitive
Okay.
and geographically diverse
I like it.
the tournament has ever seen.
I mean, that sounds like it's going to deliver some unforgettable matchups.
Oh, for sure.
It's really interesting to see how this whole tournament structure has kind of evolved over time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the article mentions a pretty significant rebranding
Right.
that happened back in 2024.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So in 2024, they decided to rebrand the MLBB Southeast Asia Cup to the MSC,
Okay.
which sounds simple, but it's actually a pretty big deal
Really?
because it really reflects Menton Games' vision
Okay.
of creating a global, inclusive esports ecosystem for Mobile Legends.
I see.
And it's not just about the name.
What else?
The location also plays a role.
Okay.
Last year, they hosted the event in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which I think further emphasizes this shift from a purely regional focus to a worldwide stage.
So it's like a regional sports league going global.
Exactly.
Bigger aspirations.
I like the ambition. It really shows that they're serious about taking MLBB to that next level.
For sure.
And from the looks of it, fans are all for it.
Yeah.
Because last year's event had some pretty impressive viewership numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about those.
So the EWC MSC 2024 reached a peak concurrent viewership of 2.38 million.
2.38 million.
And it clocked over 29 million hours watched.
That's insane.
That's according to esports charts.
Wow.
And these numbers, they really show how much the tournament's global appeal is growing.
Yeah.
And how deeply engaged the worldwide MLBB community is.
Those numbers are seriously impressive.
Yeah.
Like, it really paints a picture of how massive and still growing the global audience for mobile esports is.
It's exploding.
And, speaking of that global expansion, the article has a quote from someone at Monton Games. Oh, yeah.
Who talks about this?
Right.
Do you want to share that?
Yeah. So Mike Chu, head of regional esports at Monton Games, really emphasizes their dedication to this inclusive global vision.
Makes sense.
He points out that by widening the tournament's reach, they're creating this crucial platform for esports talent from literally every corner of the globe to compete at the highest level.
I love that.
It's really cool.
So it's really encouraging to see that the developers themselves are really invested in nurturing this global competitive scene.
For sure.
So looking back at last year's tournament, who took home the championship?
Okay, so the Selangor Red Giants emerged victorious from the EWCX MSC 2024.
Wow.
Which was a huge deal because it was Malaysia's first ever MLBB World Championship.
It's a big deal.
And they took home a good chunk of that $3 million prize pool.
Wow. A first-time world champion.
It really shows you how competitive the scene has become. And that these new regions can really rise to the top.
Absolutely.
Like, anyone can win.
It's anyone's game.
Yeah.
The article also mentions an interesting stat about MLBB's overall dominance.
Right.
In the mobile esports landscape last year.
Oh, yeah. Mobile Legends. Bang Bang was the most watched mobile esports title in 2024.
Really?
According to esports charts, it racked up over 475 million hours watched.
What?
Across all sorts of tournaments.
That's incredible.
From major international events to local competitions.
Wow.
It just shows how popular this game is.
Yeah, 475 million.
It's a global phenomenon.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So to sum it all up,
yeah,
when can we expect to see all this action go down?
So the EWCX MSC 2025 is set to return in July 2025.
July 2025.
Yep.
Not too long to wait.
So just to recap.
Okay.
Esports World Cup 2025, in collaboration with the MLBB Mid-Season Cup, is going to be the biggest one yet.
Oh, yeah.
Featuring a record 16 participating regions.
It's going to be wild.
We've got the return of Japan.
Yep.
The debut of Vietnam in that expanded wildcard format.
Which is already super popular.
Huge.
The main stage is set to be the most competitive and regionally diverse in history.
For sure.
Building on the momentum of last year's rebranded and globally focused event.
Absolutely.
Which saw some crazy viewership numbers.
Unbelievable.
And a first-time world champion.
The Selangor Red Giants.
And of course, MLBB was the most watched mobile esport in 2024.
Yeah.
I mean, it's safe to say that the future of mobile esports is looking bright.
Oh, yeah. It's only going to get bigger.
So here's a final thought for you to ponder.
Okay, I'm listening.
What does this growing global involvement in mobile esports really mean? What does it tell us about where competitive gaming is heading as a whole?
That's a good question.
You know, as this landscape continues to evolve and more regions get the spotlight, what new rivalries might we see emerge?
Ooh.
Which unexpected champions could rise to the top?
So many possibilities.
It's exciting to think about. That's something to consider as we wait for July 2025.
It's going to be an exciting year.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Catch you next time.